I have a good friend. He passed away. His name was Rabbi Dreyfus. He had a Chabad house in Netanya. Netanya. He was French. He was from France, and he told me that when he was in France, that also he was connected to Chabad, and so he decided to make Shabbat programs for children. Programs for children. So he made Shabbat programs for children, and he invited Jewish children that were in the area to come. But it was very difficult because France is a very, how do you say, assimilated country, and the Jews that were there are not really in that direction of expressing their Judaism. It just makes separation. So it was very difficult for him to get these 10 children. Well, it happened to be that in a city adjacent to his, there was working the Sochnut, the Israeli, I don't know what it's called, but anyway, it was an organization from Israel. And they also go to different places. Of course, they're better funded, but in any case, they have connections with the government, and they had every week a Shabbat program for 100 children, and they were only there for like a year or whatever, and their allotted period that they were there finished, and they came to him, and they said, this fellow Rabbi Dreyfus, he told me, they came to him and they made him an offer. They said, listen, we have 100 children coming every week. It's a shame to let them come for no reason. There's almost no overhead. Almost no overhead. You give them a few candies or something like that, and they come, and 100 children on Shabbat. And you can come, and instead of, we're leaving. So instead of leaving the children just alone, is you can come and give the class. So this was a big opportunity for him. This is wonderful. I mean, the small problem was, which in his eyes was no problem whatsoever, is that he couldn't do both. There was only a small allotted amount of time on Shabbat when children, they're willing to even come, and that they have like free time. They like when their parents are asleep or something in the afternoon or whatever it is. Any case, there was a small one, and it takes about an hour to walk there to this other city. But in any case, in his eyes, it was a very simple thing. You have 10 children, there you have 100 children. And this was the thing he dreamed. This was the thing that he dreamed about, that he could have so many children, wonderful Jewish children. So he wrote a letter to the Rebbe. This story must have been like 40, 50 years ago. So he wrote a letter to the Rebbe, and he and he told him the good news, that I got a chance to go next to the next city of 100 children. And he asked a blessing that may, somehow or other God would provide for these 10 children that he had. And that, if not, it's better that, the 10 children shouldn't have a Shabbat program, then 100 children shouldn't have. He's going to go over there. So the Rebbe gave him back an answer, and it said, who said that your 10 children are less than the 100 children? Who said that they're worth more than your 10 children? And in other words, don't move, don't leave. And he didn't. He didn't leave. Now, how can we explain this? I don't know if it's possible to explain it. I mean, the simple explanation that I can give is that there's a difference between quantity and quality. It could be that the place where he was at, that was exactly the specific person, specific child that would really get the message. And that if he gave 100 children, maybe that one person that would wake up to his Judaism wasn't there. Anyway, I don't understand it, but nevertheless, this principle does definitely exist, that sometimes quality is better than quantity, what's that relevant to us is that sometimes just dealing with one person in a personal way is much better than dealing with 100 people in a superficial way. You deal with 100 people, so you don't really have to give of yourself. And you also have this feeling that you're a winner. You succeeded. So you're doing it for yourself in a lot of different ways. You get satisfaction. But if you're doing it with one person, you think of that one person. You think of the person who's in, and sometimes the devotion that you give to somebody is more than all the ideas you can give them, because it's genuine, it's human. Could be that that's what the Rebbe is saying, but the principle is still a principle. Sometimes humanness in a small number is worth more than success in a big number.